One of the most interesting things Apple has added to their iPhones recently has been MagSafe. Now, MagSafe has a lot of potential, and while you can buy basic accessories like wallets, cases, and even power banks, MagSafe has a lot of potential from third parties, but a lot of third parties don't seem to be interested in the technology. This is similar to what we've seen in the past. Apple really wants you to use this, and while a lot of people have phones that are equipped with MagSafe, most people don't want a wallet on the back of their phone, and most people don't have the need of a battery bank on the back of their phone either. And this battery bank, especially on the Pro Max, doesn't give you enough juice to even fully charge the phone. So there are limitations. Now, third-party power banks for MagSafe are available, and they do give you a little more juice than what Apple does. But that brings me to the question that is this the extent of innovation in smartphones today? Sure, we are seeing some interesting concepts from smartphone companies. We've seen a rollable display, we've seen folding displays, but all of those are concepts, and while phones have been launched by companies like Samsung, a lot of people don't really like the technology because it is cumbersome, you have to be really careful with it, it's super expensive, and in the long term, it's not going to be a lasting solution for a display technology. Innovation has slowed down. That is the mindset that everyone has. But in reality, things always evolve. And while you may think that MagSafe or the ability to attach accessories on the back of your iPhone is new, we were recently cleaning out our old store and moving stuff to the new store, and we posted about it on Instagram, so you should go follow us there if you don't. We realized that we have some interesting devices in there, and I thought that we'll do a video showing you some of them. So here I have a Moto Z2 Force. Now, this is one of the more interesting devices that Motorola has launched in their recent years. Now, this is about 3 to 4 years old at least, if not more. And this is at the peak of Motorola's comeback. And while they're still trying to make a third comeback, the Moto Z2 Force was the pinnacle of innovation for Motorola. Because not only was this their flagship device, but it had some interesting add-ons in the form of Moto Mods. Now, I found this sealed completely. This is one of the phones from the mega giveaway that was left behind, was not claimed. So I thought that we'll do an unboxing of this on video in 2022 and see what this phone feels like. So now Motorola seems to be playing it safe, and they do have devices with edge displays, and they're even playing with devices with styluses. But this is the time when Motorola was being a serious risk taker, and they came out with this phone. I mean, this phone looks amazing even today. Look at how slim this device is. And you have this brushed metal back finish, and you have the Moto Mod connector over here. So tons of pins here on the bottom, 16 pins here that help you align, and then you do have a alignment pin which does supply most of the data as well as power. And of course, you do get a charger inside the box. Some really high quality earphones are in there. A USB-C to audio jack adapter is also in there. So bunch of accessories in the box, which now usually is not the norm. So good old days for smartphones, I would say. So we'll not look at the accessories much, but let's talk about the device. Let's see if it has power still after almost 5 years of being fully dead. It does power on. So they did put good batteries in these devices. So this is the Moto Z2 Force. As you can see, it powered on after exactly 5 years. So this phone was released in 2017, and it has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 in it. And it also came with 6 gigabytes of RAM with either 64 or 128 gigabytes of storage. You did have a lower 4 gigabyte variant as well. You can see that you have the fingerprint sensor on the front over here, and a really nice big display with really fat forehead and chin. So you do have those black bars on either side, and the display is really nice. It looks good. The phone performs great. More importantly, the phone is super slim. But there was a reason that they made these devices so slim, and they did have a cheaper variant which didn't have a flagship chip on it. So this is the Z2 Play. So this was a more affordable, under 30,000 rupee phone that was launched in India. And while this one was upwards of 40,000 rupees, this was a more affordable sort of mid-range phone from the company to allow you to get mostly the same design and aesthetics for a much more affordable price. Now, this was peak innovation for Motorola for a bunch of reasons. So you could do some really cool things with the Moto Mods. You had these back covers. They were available in lots of designs. You also had speakers, which we checked out from JBL, really high quality speakers. And then you could buy these power banks that were attachable, much like the MagSafe power bank that we have today. And this had its own battery and an own charging port. And you could just slap it on and you would see that it would start charging the phone. And you would get this sort of pop-up notification, and you could customize it. You could decide what level of charging. Do you want turbo charging? Do you want efficiency charging? And then it would just continue to be on there. And then if you would charge the mod, it would charge the phone. And if you would charge the phone, it would charge the mod as well. So really cool design over there. And then they took it to the next level by tying up with certain companies. So they tied up with Hasselblad for a camera module. And this is basically a Hasselblad camera that you can basically attach on the back of your phone. But you could just basically jump into the standard camera app, and it would show the Hasselblad branding over here, and then you would be using the Hasselblad camera. You can see here, I can zoom in, zoom out, just everything from here. And then I do get a physical shutter button here as well in the Hasselblad orange. So this is Motorola taking this technology to the next level. And I had a lot of hopes for this because they did have a developer program and they did invite a lot of people to develop mods for this. They did fund some of these inventions. But then suddenly after the Z2 Force, Motorola killed the Moto Mods and the whole Z lineup. And they did promise that they would keep developing for this for years. And as a final sort of goodbye, they did launch a Moto Mod gamepad as well. And we did check this out in a video, and a lot of people really liked it. So if you were into gaming, this was a really cool accessory to have because it was integrated, much like the accessories that you can get for gaming phones, like the ROG phone. This was basically a Moto Mod with a full sort of controller that could attach to it, sync up with it, and you could customize the button layout, everything. So all of these things seemed like peak innovation at that time. And it was actually peak innovation for Motorola. They were willing to try new things. And while you would think that, okay, so that was the first instance of a attachable battery bank, you would be wrong, because here I have a HTC One Max. This is from the golden days of HTC. It's made out of aluminum or aluminium, and the back cover comes off. Not because you can change the battery, because you can't really service the battery in this, but for a SIM tray and a micro SD access, you could remove this. You can hear it. Solid metal back cover, and it sort of snaps back into place quite well. This had a power case, and so this case actually added some additional power to the device. You can see these three connectors at the bottom of the phone over here. They're like smart connectors on iPad today, and you could simply snap this on and it would give you some additional battery. And the battery in this is completely died. It's become a pillow. So it doesn't work anymore, but when it did, it gave you an additional couple of hours of talk time, which was really good for a already massive phone, which in itself had a really long battery life. So these were really cool devices back then. These were some really interesting devices. This one, in fact, is running a port of CyanogenMod on it. I spent a lot of time customizing this phone. It runs mostly stock Android. And while HTC stopped pushing out updates, I can get some really interesting Android updates on this device. And it's on Android 7, but it can go up to Android 9, I believe. This phone is even older, much older than the Moto Z2 Force. But these were the first examples of a slap-on battery case that I saw that could give you some additional battery. The difference is that not only did Apple make a technology that works because they're using now wireless charging, so it works a little bit better, but also because there were not a lot of buyers for this phone in comparison to how many people buy iPhones. And the same was the case for Motorola. Motorola spent a lot of time promoting the Moto Z, but at the end of it, their mid-range phones, the Moto G, sell much more than their flagship phones. And that is where they struggle to develop for the third generation and future phones. We're not too sure if Apple is going to continue with MagSafe as well. Even though right now it seems like a technology that a lot of people have adopted, if not for the battery case, at least for things like the wallet or even the cases. And then some third parties have also come out with accessories like phone holders and gimbals and things like that that can work directly with MagSafe. So because of the large implementation of this technology, you will see this develop much more in the future. Before we close this video, there were some other interesting phones that we found while cleaning the store, and I thought that I'll just show them off in this video because they're some of my favorite phones. And this one is the Samsung Galaxy Note Edge. The box has seen better days, but this phone is actually in flawless condition. And you can see this is the first Edge display made by Samsung, but this is what the first generation of it looked like. And it kind of looked cool. It kind of looked nice. And you can see it right now. This one also, the coolest thing about this is that the battery comes out and you can swap it out for a new battery. So these phones last a really long time. So this was one of the better innovations from Samsung because this went on to become the Samsung Galaxy S phones of the future and the Note phones of the future with the Edge displays on both sides, curved edges. Some people like them, some people don't like them, but they're still a big part of modern smartphone technology. So I thought I'll show this off. Now the final phone that I wanted to show off before we end this video is this device. This is the LG G Flex. Again, a device that was supposed to do really well for the company. There was a time when suddenly everyone was thinking about curved phones, and LG made this and launched it in India, whereas Samsung made the curve but never launched it in India. So this is a phone that had a sort of a curved design, and this had the first and the only iteration of a self-healing back. So this has what I believe a more like a PPF coating on it, which is a self-healing sort of coating. So if you scratch it, if it has minor scratches, if you heat the back panel, it sort of restores itself. Powers on. So this had a plastic OLED display, or something they called POLED at the time. And because it was a plastic display, it had some shortcomings in comparison to a glass OLED panel. And that is why a lot of people didn't adopt to it. I have some interesting wallpapers on here, but this phone works as well. And this is a really, really cool idea from a company that no longer makes phones that really had some ideas of innovation. I mean, this is the technology that was used before phones like these came into place. These have plastic OLED displays, and this is the starting point of that. This was a foldable phone that was designed to sort of withstand a push down, so you could push it back and it would automatically sort of jump back into its shape. And on the back here, you do have like an RGB light here. So pretty cool designs from companies back in the day. Today, we are stuck with the companies trying to push folding phones onto us. And while most companies have stopped in their efforts, Samsung still wants you to believe that folding phones are the future. And until they do some major changes to the technology and make it much more durable and much more easier for people to own and much more cheaper for people to own, it's not going to become the AMOLED screen or the Edge screen or even the attachable battery pack that we saw in the past. So that's it for this video. A quick conversation around innovation. What are your thoughts on smartphone innovation? What is the one technology you would want to see improve in the future? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Bharat. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like, hit the subscribe if you're not a part of Team iGyan. I'll see you guys in the next one.